How I Survived My Borderline Girlfriend by Michael William Denny. New book available now on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. You never had it so good. You never had it so bad. Hi, this is Michael William Denny, and this is a live stream I'm doing. I'm going to be reading from chapter 4 in my new book, How I Survived My Borderline Girlfriend. And before we get into that, just let me give you a little bit of background on why I started this channel and why I wrote this book. This is the first time I've done a live stream. It's got to be in over a year, I would imagine. It's been a very long time. And I stayed away from the channel for a while, but decided to come back and share some of my most recent thoughts that have evolved about not only about being what it's like to be in a relationship with a narcissistic abuser, but also what it's like to be in recovery from that. So there's no shortage of places to go and resources for the mentally ill. There's no shortage whatsoever. If you go on YouTube and you have borderline personality disorder, there's no shortage of videos out there from life coaches to psychologists and psychiatrists and other borderlines. In fact, I found a really great channel, and it's sort of like group therapy, a bunch of borderlines getting together and talking about what goes on with them, and I thought that was great. But for those of us that have been in a romantic relationship with people who have cluster B personality disorders, in my case, borderline personality disorder was my girlfriend's issue, there really isn't any resource out there. And it's very saddening because the truth is that if you get into a romantic relationship with, specifically in my case, a borderline, you're going to end up extremely damaged. And it's going to be almost impossible to recover on your own. You've been entrained by the narcissist, by the borderline. You've been entrained to get into a kind of emotional state where, on the one hand, you are addicted to them, and on the other hand, you feel completely responsible and guilty. So if you do or say anything about your pain, then in your mind, you're beating up a victim. And borderlines, if they're not in treatment, are more than happy to come and start attacking you for pointing out how abusive they are. They want to tell you what a victim they are, which is true. But they're completely clueless to the amount of pain that they cause. If they are aware of it, they're not able to acknowledge it most of the time. By the way, just before I go any further, I'm not here to bash borderlines. There is help for them. My understanding, what I've seen, is that borderlines who do DBT therapy regularly, who go to regular group therapy, and who do the daily exercises, I've seen those people have a lot of recovery. But the truth is, it's going to take years and years of hard work before they're going to be able to have a functioning relationship. So what ends up happening to the partner is that the partner becomes entrained. And you end up getting, what ends up happening is that the narcissistic abuser will hijack your survival instincts and will hijack your nervous system. And so what they do, this may not be conscious, it probably isn't, especially in the case of the borderline. See, here's the thing that makes dating a borderline perhaps even more dangerous than dating a narcissist. An overt, grandiose narcissist does have some awareness of their intentions to use and abuse you. The borderline is not aware much of the time of their abuse and is completely unaware of the inner psychopath in their unconscious, which will come out and abuse you. And in fact, much of the time they abuse you, they're dissociating and they don't remember it. So that makes it a little worse. It's, people want to argue about whether or not borderlines are conscious or not. And the truth is, the more unconscious the abuser is, the far more dangerous they are. If an abuser is conscious, not only are they easier to spot, but they are much more predictable. Whereas borderlines, most of the time they're extremely unconscious about what they're doing, which makes them even more unpredictable and more challenging. There are all different kinds of borderlines. There are borderlines who, like the one I dated, she was pretty much non-functional. She had become addicted to opiates and was on medication for that when I met her. Of course, I didn't find that out until much later. And she had all kinds of other different problems, and she was really non-functional. But some borderlines are very functional. They're able to go to work. Some of them are psychologists and psychiatrists, and they're still not in any kind of recovery. So they, in fact, I know I have a client of mine from my other channel who actually, his therapist was an untreated borderline. They can be great at getting into your feelings and all of that. In any case, borderlines are most explosively destructive within romantic relationships. So it is possible for a borderline to have a job and be able to function and maybe even be able to, get through life and be successful. But when it comes to romantic relationships, that is when we all get the closest to our family of origin dynamic, our infantile connection to mommy and daddy. The truth is that all romantic relationships really are about replacing and refining and evolving our initial connection to our parents. So anyway, what I'm going to do today, I see, more people are showing up. I've been sort of taking up time so that people can show up. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to read from my book, How I Survived My Borderline Girlfriend, and we're going to read from chapter 4, which is entitled, let me bring it up here. Let's see, where is it? Chapter 4, which is entitled, What Happened? Why Did She Change? By the way, before I go any further, this book is available on Amazon and Kindle right now. You can go there and get it. It is also available on Audible, and I recommend the audio book for all of my books. And so if you want to see, it should be available, audiobooks.thunderwizard.com. It just became available yesterday, so it should be there ready to go. All right, so here is chapter 4 of my book, How I Survived My Borderline Girlfriend. And this chapter is entitled, What Happened? Why Did She Change? But how did we get here, you ask? It wasn't like this at all in the beginning. It was more than perfect. What happened? In the beginning of your relationship, you each felt a strong emotional and spiritual bond that had the power of many lifetimes. She made you feel as though you were the only person in the universe who could touch her deeply. She had been hurt and misunderstood by all of her other partners before you, who most likely abused her and abandoned her. At least that is what she tells you, because she talks about her exes to you all the time. Perhaps her partners were psychopathic narcissists who manipulated, tortured, and then discarded her. Perhaps her former partners were weak and unable to handle her passion, and so she reluctantly left them. It may even be possible that you met her while she was in the process of leaving an abusive relationship, and when she saw you, she knew intuitively that you were the one. She had been looking for you her whole life. You were her knight in shining armor who had come to rescue her. She told you as much. And you felt it too. It was the most fulfilling moment of your life when you knew in your heart that your love had the power to save and fulfill someone else. The relationship starts out with immediate, intense familiarity. Perhaps on your first date, the two of you talked for hours on end, each of you finishing each other's sentences. You had both been wronged and misunderstood by past lovers. Perhaps the evening ended with a passionate lovemaking session that rivaled the passion of Venus herself. Your borderline gave herself to you in ways you didn't think was possible. And she found in you vulnerability and tenderness you didn't even know you had. She saw you, all of you, and it was amazing. She was a goddess of love, and you were her willing slave, and she was yours. When that first date was all over, after being alone with her perhaps just one night or one weekend even, you both knew the search was over. You had found your life partner, your twin flame, your soulmate, your other half. Perhaps you planned your wedding during that first weekend. The two of you, now one perfect unit, began to plan your lives together. Your love was going to change the world. You, until meeting your borderline, had never been truly seen, appreciated, understood by anyone. Your borderline, however, knows you deeply and intimately. She knew you intimately from the first moment she saw you. She even knows what you are thinking and what you are feeling at any given moment. She reaches deep into your soul and lights up your spiritual center like no one ever has. For her, the connection is at least as wonderful for her, perhaps even more. Being the perfect love goddess that she is, perhaps she loves you even more than you love her, if that's possible. This is slightly unnerving for you, but who cares? She's the perfect woman. You can make mistakes. She will look past them. Her love is perfect and she has no fear. You can do no wrong, she tells you. She may even tell you that no one could ever truly understand her the way you do, which is why she loves you more than any other human could. She tells you that she knows deeply in her heart that you are the one who will bring her ultimate satisfaction. You are perfect for her. You can relax now. Your search for love has ended. She will live her entire life for one goal: to make you happy forever. As the relationship begins to unfold in the next few days or perhaps weeks, you find that she not only feels the same deep karmic connection with you that you do for her, but that she also tells you that she prefers to be in your company more than anything else. She may even say that you are the perfect person for her. She may even say that you are her favorite person. You are her chosen person. She never wants to leave your side. She tells you that when she is in your presence, she feels a safety and comfort that she has never felt before. She says that being in your presence is what gives her peace. So she will make sure you are happy, because if you are happy, your presence will surround her and make her feel happy. This sounds amazing to you. She is going to take full responsibility for your total happiness, because when you are happy, she is happy. What a deal. This is unbelievable. This is perfect. This is too good to be true. But it is true, right? You find that she loves everything about you, even the flaws in your body that you are a little shy about her seeing. She loves that aspect the most. You're perhaps a few pounds overweight or underweight, but that is what makes you unique to her. She likes that body type, whatever yours is. In fact, she has fantasized about meeting someone just like you, a few years older or younger than her, perhaps with a little bit extra belly fat or bony arms or whatever your body type is. And then magically you showed up looking exactly as she saw you in her fantasy. You are her fantasy lover in her dreams, with that extra weight or not enough weight, with too much hair or not enough hair, whatever it is that you are. She has always fantasized about you. Or were they psychic premonitions, because you are her karmic destiny? Whatever it is about you that makes you unique is the exact combination of traits that she was looking for just before you arrived. No one had all of the things she was looking for until you showed up. You are everything. You are perfect. Wow, what a deal. You also find that you can do no wrong with her. She tells you that she wants to be your perfect partner. She asks you what you want her to be. Since she gets her comfort from being in your presence, she wants to make sure that you are thrilled with her all the time. Do you want her to lose weight? Gain weight? Do you want her to take up your hobbies? What are your sexual fantasies? She will fulfill all of them. In fact, she may get a little hurt if you don't let her fulfill all of your secret sexual fantasies with her and her alone. She wants to know what fantasies you've never dared to experience with another woman. And she wants to do it. She wants you to do it with her so that she will have something special that no other woman has shared with you. Personal boundaries? She has none. Sexual boundaries? She has no need of those either. You are perfect. You would never harm her. She will surrender to your desires no matter how depraved because they're yours and you are her perfect partner. Just tell her what she needs to do to be your perfect fantasy girlfriend. No, seriously, tell her. Tell her now, because if you're not willing to be vulnerable with her with your sexual fantasies right here and right now, then maybe you don't really love and trust her enough. I'm giving all of myself to you here, she says, and you're too scared to just give me that one little thing I'm asking from you? Why? Do you have another girlfriend who does that for you? I can't believe you would cheat on me already. I thought you were different. I trusted you. Insert record scratch noise here. Whoops. Where did that come from? No worries. A slight slip of the tongue from her when you look slightly confused and the awkward silence brings her momentarily back to reality. She backs off and says she's just kidding. She needs to go to the bathroom and be right back. But she stays in the bathroom for 30 minutes with the water running. But then she comes back out again and everything goes back to perfect fantasy state like before, even if it feels a little tense in the house from that moment on. But that was kind of weird, wasn't it? Where did that come from? Oh, well, she says she's okay now. So let's just forget that she said that and let things go back to being perfect again. Just a new relationship jitters or something, you guess. But unfortunately, that first little glitch in her perfect understanding of you never really gets put back in the bottle. She never really seems to recover from that slide against her that you don't remember making. Your perfect weekend is coming to an end, and the last half of the last day is taken up with a long conversation about how you aren't dating anyone else and that you really do want to try new sexual practices with her and that you weren't disgusted by her desires and that you really do still love her and you honestly, you swear, did not look at her funny when she talked about her secret desires. You just want things to go back to the way they were yesterday. What happened to that woman? What did you do wrong, you ask yourself? Is there something you can say or do to get her to trust you again? You feel guilty, but you're not quite sure what you did wrong. All you know is that you feel a deep hole burrowing its way into your gut. She comes out of the bathroom after being on the phone with someone that she won't say who it was. She has herself made up again and looks amazing. She tells you that she suddenly needs to get back home. Something unexpected has come up. You offer to give her a ride, but she refuses and she says she already called an Uber. You start to apologize for whatever you did to hurt her. She tells you it's not a problem. Don't worry. She'll call you tomorrow or the next day, but she just doesn't have time to talk about it right now. She disappears out the front door without a hug or a kiss goodbye. And in the silence after the door slams and the Uber drives away with her in it, you feel an intense anxiety growing inside of your gut. And before you know it, an hour has gone by and you're staring at the door as if your hard drive has stopped spinning in your head and the message, "File not found," is displayed prominently on your forehead. And you ask yourself, what the hell just happened? You think perhaps your perfect love relationship is over as soon as it began. You wonder how you will recover from this, but sadly for you, your hell has just begun. And the worst part is, you will never figure out what is really going on with her. Never. However, you are on a mission now to figure out once and for all what went wrong, how you can fix it, and how you can get that perfect fantasy girl back. You will devote every waking moment to understanding her. You will learn exactly what her tragic wound is and how you can fix it. She is your true soulmate. You have to fix this. But let me just cut to the sad ending of this never-ending tragedy. You will never understand who she is, and whatever you think you know about her and her connection to you is completely wrong. In this book, I will show you exactly what is really going on with her and her connection to you. I will show you why you can't forget her no matter how hard you try, and I will show you the one thing that you can do to completely heal from the unbelievable pain this relationship has given to you. So if you are reading this book, it is likely that you have been in this roller coaster with your borderline for a long time, and you believe that all of your research into borderline personality disorder has given you significant insight into your relationship. But I'm here to tell you, as someone who has completely healed myself of the trauma of a BPD relationship, that no matter how much research you have done into this tragic mental illness, and no matter how much work you have done on yourself, you still have no clue who she is, what her connection to you is, and what is eventually coming for you if you don't achieve a real healing. That's what this book will do for you. If you read it and follow my suggestions, but the likelihood of you simply following my suggestions and achieving the complete healing I achieved is slim, because it is likely that you will refuse to follow my suggestions. Not because the suggestions I give aren't simple, they're extremely simple. It is because you still don't know what is really going on. If you have been bitten by the BPD bug, you have been infected with a false belief that is very persistent. This false belief that you understand what is going on with her, and the false belief that you understand what you really want from her, will do everything in its power to prevent you from following the simple suggestions I will give to you in this book. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps you do have the willingness to follow the simple instructions I will give you. Many have followed my advice and completely healed from the trauma they experienced from loving a borderline. But sadly, many others of you refuse to follow my simple instructions because you can't let go of the persistent belief that you know why your borderline does what she does, and the persistent belief that you understand yourself and why you still chase after her, or if she has completely and permanently discarded you, why you can't stop thinking about your long-lost borderline ex even decades later. But I will save my instructions until the end. For now, let's look at what is really going on underneath that seductive exterior of your borderline personality disordered girlfriend. Let me show you why you have no idea what is really going on with her. And let me show you why your relationship with her is not at all what you think. All right, so that was chapter 4. I enjoyed that chapter. I enjoyed reading it. Wait, got to get rid of a troll here just a second. What happened? Why isn't it going away? I'm reporting again. Go away. Oh, here we go. There we go. All right, we'll say goodbye to the troll. Oh, the troll is here multiple times. Sorry, just let me delete somebody trying to sell porn. All right. So, reading that again brings me back. It really, unless you've been in a relationship with a borderline, you have no idea. Absolutely no idea what the pain is like. There's no shortage of psychologists on YouTube. Psychiatrists on YouTube. They talk about BPD in all kinds of different ways. And I remember watching one video, and it was a psychologist talking to, I don't know who it was. I think it was some kind of life coach type guy. And they were musing about what they would do if they were in a relationship with a borderline. And they were kind of saying, people they don't have the patience, and if I, knowing what I know about what you've told me BPD is, it's just an overreaction to this, that, and they're afraid of this and that. And, I imagine that I would just simply say this to them and do that. And I'm thinking to myself, I know you've never dated a borderline. Because that's what we all thought. All of us, every single one of us that dated a borderline, we thought the same thing. We'll just be more patient. We'll just be more this. We'll just do that. And eventually we'll be able to calm them down and make them feel okay. And then, they'll let us love them. And it never works out that way. It always works out the opposite way. And the thing that is most difficult when it comes to recovering from the pain of being with a borderline isn't the awareness that you've been abused. If you're on this channel, you already know that. You wouldn't be here if you hadn't experienced that. It's that the narcissist, which includes the borderline, narcissistic abusers, what they do is they entrain you psychologically, and that includes your nervous system. They entrain you and hijack your survival instincts. And so the reason why you can't let go of your borderline, the reason why you can't let go of your narcissist, the reason why, even though you haven't been with them for weeks, months, years, and you're still in pain, even a little bit, even if you sometimes wake up in the middle of the night with that pain in your gut, even if you wake up thinking about them, I wonder where she is right now. I wonder if she's happy. I wonder, if I said this. I wonder if she's going to get therapy. I wonder if we'll meet again. If any of these kinds of thoughts come up, it means that you're still entrained. Your survival instincts have been hijacked, and your entire nervous system is in a state of trauma. And your nervous system believes that you will die if you don't get your borderline or your narcissist back. That's why all of the knowledge in the world won't help you. That's why all of the research into BPD and all of the videos that you watch about narcissism, all of the stuff that you do, including therapy, none of these things will be able to replace what has been hijacked and conflated in your nervous system. Your nervous system is in a state of complete confusion. It doesn't know what it needs. And so you are going to resist when any real solution comes up, because it will mean to your unconscious, the recovery from the pain to your unconscious signifies death. And you don't want to die, you want to live. We all do. That's why people have such a hard time doing the one thing that I tell people to do on this channel. But if you're able to understand that and you're willing to take the risk, if you're willing to go through the pain of letting go, finally letting go of hope altogether, letting go of your narcissistic victim mentality that your nervous system keeps you in. Let me just be clear about that. I'm not just beating you up saying that you're a helpless victim. Your nervous system is in a state of trauma. And your nervous system thinks that in order to keep you healthy, you have to victimize yourself, because that's how you got your narcissist to reward you. You didn't know that. It's very obvious with overt narcissists. It's not as obvious with borderlines, but that's what's going on. Your nervous system has convinced you that in order to survive, you have to be a victim and play the victim. And so even though you want to be free of all the pain, you want to do whatever is necessary to heal, the one thing that you need to do, everything in you is going to resist it, because you think if you do it, you're going to die. And it's all on a deeply unconscious level. You won't even be conscious of it. You will be coming up with very rational reasons why you can't do this and you can't do that. And I don't vibe with that. And that, blah, 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 blah. And these are all very, very potent strategies of your unconscious mind, trying to keep you alive, but actually driving you towards more trauma. And eventually, in my experience, if somebody doesn't completely heal, they either carry with them, sort of like they limp along through life with this pain that never goes away. They're oftentimes never able to get into relationships and enjoy relationships and trust other people. Or they continue to get drawn into with narcissists and borderlines for the rest of their life. It's not uncommon for somebody to be with 2, 3, 4. I mean, my borderline ex was absolutely 100%, seriously mentally disordered. But as I look back on it, guess what? My ex-wife had very serious borderline tendencies. I can look at 2 or 3 girlfriends that might have been borderline. I broke up with them because I couldn't tolerate it. But my mother, as it turns out, I believe that she had borderline personality disorder, my grandmother. So this stuff doesn't just go away because you've now gotten a new bee in your bonnet and you're going to go out and grab the tiger by the tail. This is something that has to be dealt with. And, there was somebody I had to block on the channel because, the truth is that codependents who refuse to recover are extremely abusive and narcissistic, and I get tired of getting into the arguments with them. But this one guy kept on coming onto the channel, refused to take my suggestions, but really wanted to keep asking me what he could do to be able to not destroy his current relationship. His ex, his borderline ex, had killed herself. Tragic, horrifically tragic, extremely abusive thing for her to do, by the way. She killed herself, and he is now apparently in this great loving relationship, but for years he keeps asking me, how do I avoid destroying this relationship? And I say, by doing the one thing, to which he says, well, I'm not going to do that. And it's because your nervous system is telling you, stay traumatized. That's how you're going to be loved. In fact, that same guy who experienced his borderline ex committing suicide on him, that same guy says, I don't believe in the final discard. What does that tell you? Even in death, she's controlling him. Even after she's dead, he thinks she's going to come back to him. He's not consciously aware of it, but that's clearly what's going on. So, anyway, I think I've laid out the problem and the issue. It's up to you guys to do what you need to do to get healed. If you have questions, I'm happy to take them. If you have any, it doesn't look like there are any. We've got a few people on the channel. I've been talking like this to give you an opportunity to write down your questions if you have any, but we can keep it short if you want. G. Frederick says, I've enjoyed your content for a while. Enjoyed to see you helping again. What brought you back, sir? I guess what brought me back was I had a lot of time to think. And as you've probably noticed in the recent videos that I've been putting up, I've sort of gotten to a more condensed understanding of what the real issue is. And again, I'm in therapy myself. I'm in group therapy. So this kind of, the reality is that narcissistic abuse is just so rampant. And I'm watching people, that I'm seeing, that I'm interacting with, and people don't know that there's a solution to this. And I want to do my part in educating as best I can. People who have BPD, thank the gods, once you become aware of that, there's all kinds of options out there. There's all kinds of places to go if you're mentally ill. There's all kinds of resources. But for the people who struggle with being the partners, they are just as damaged. And there really isn't a lot of awareness about, that being in these relationships actually debilitates you and acts like a personality disorder. You don't have a personality disorder, but it ends up being like one. And so I'm just sharing what I learned in case there's anybody else out there that wants help. As before, if there's no payoff in it, the reason I stopped the channel a while ago is because nobody was was doing the work. They all wanted to keep asking me the same questions, and they weren't wanting to get better. So I've already said everything there needs to be said, so channel can stay up. But I feel a little bit more refined about where I'm at, and I'm just simply sharing what I want. I don't have any plans on coming back and doing regular live streams. I think I'll keep uploading videos for a while, the more refined understanding I have. And of course, I am trying to promote a book here. So I want to get, my hope is that the book and the audiobook will get more traction. And there will be people out there who need to hear this that wouldn't find it otherwise. So I'm trying to be helpful. That's my answer to your question. Uh, Max's comment, you're not asking me a question, so I'm not going to give you my opinion, although I do have some strong opinions about what you just wrote. By the way, guys, if you're new to this channel, I haven't been on here. If you want to ask a question, it's helpful for me if you write the word question in all caps, because if I were to do this live stream and there was a ton of people, and sometimes I do have some trolls that come and try and spam my channel, and I have to scroll through all of the spam to get to the honest questions. So if you write the word question in all caps, so that I can see it, I appreciate that, because it helps me to respond to the people who are honestly wanting my help. Anyway, Max's comment, now you're getting into the point where you're starting to give unsolicited advice. I understand why you're doing that, but nothing personal. If you do it again, I'm going to block you. Okay? So I'm going to delete this last comment of yours, because I know where you're heading with that. I'm totally happy to help you if you have an honest question, but it sounds like you've got the answer. And my suggestion is you put that on your channel. You can go and create a video with your answer about what you think people need. If you want my help, I'm happy to help you with that. But you have to ask me an honest question. Let's see. G. Frederick asks me, how many symptoms did your ex display for you to say that she had tendencies? Well, what are we talking about? I said that I had a borderline girlfriend who had all 9 of the supposed 9 symptoms of BPD. She was no doubt, there's absolutely no doubt whatsoever, she was full on, untreated, undiagnosed borderline personality disorder and whatever else. She was, just like kind of a garbage can of all kinds of disorders. She was extremely, extremely damaged. My ex-wife, I guess your question, the thing about your question is it's coming from a very intellectual place. I appreciate that you want to go there, but it sort of assumes that, you have to sort of intellectually look at it. But I'm coming from the fact that, here's the thing. When it comes to relationships, what's important about BPD is not that whole long list of 9 borderline traits. That is for the borderline. Those 9 traits, that's for the borderline to look at and see if they have that. That's for the psychologist or the psychiatrist. If you're in a relationship with somebody who has BPD, there's really only one thing that is most damaging and most important, and that is the love bombing, devaluation, and the split. We could probably tolerate a lot of the other things. Maybe, maybe not. But the mood swings, the depression, even the sensitivity, the emotional dysregulation, those things aren't exclusive just to borderlines. A lot of people have those things in various degrees. And a lot of people have them and they get better or they don't. But, people who have those things can still commit and be partners, whatever other judgment you have about them. But when it comes to borderlines, the thing about the borderlines is that they split on you. That is the single most destructive part of the romantic relationship. And when it comes to borderline personality disorder, the most explosive context where their mental illness comes out the strongest and is the most destructive is in romantic relationships. And in romantic relationships, the single most destructive thing is the splitting, by far. The splitting and the discarding. That whole roller coaster that they give. Up and down, I love you, I hate you. It's not like they're moody and one day they love you and the next day they're sort of cold. It's extreme, and it's all, let me say this, borderlines, I understand where they're coming from because, again, borderlines are inner psychopaths. So when they are splitting, much of the time they don't remember it. Much of the time they are dissociated. So even if you film them splitting, they'll go, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. I never said that. My mom used to say that. We would say, you said this. She'd say, I never said that. If you talk to somebody who's been with a grandiose narcissist who does know what they're doing much of the time, I mean, they have a lot of similarities to borderlines as well, and they dissociate, etc. But a lot of them know what they're doing, and they plan out how they're going to manipulate you and hurt you and, reel you back in. The borderline doesn't plan that, at least in the beginning, especially if they're pure borderline. They don't do that. I forgot what I was saying. But when they split on you, they are a full-on, hardcore psychopath. Even if their splitting is quiet. Even if they're quiet about it. Even if they don't yell at you. If what they do is they ghost you or they lock themselves in their bedroom or whatever it is that they do, and they say, I'm not like that. I don't yell at people. I never abused anybody. But they have no idea how incredibly damaging it is. How devaluing. This is the best part about, the best word to describe the experience of being with a borderline. Being devalued. Because that's what it comes down to. When a borderline attacks you, it's not going to be, listen, there's all kinds of selfish people out there that are in relationships. They cheat on their wife. They cheat on their boyfriend. Those are horrible things to do. Those are things where you are betraying somebody's trust, all of that. But it's not necessarily a deliberate devaluation. When the borderline splits on you, it won't be just because they are frightened and they're responding to their fear of abandonment combined with their fear of being consumed. It will also have within it the psychopathic element of devaluation. The message that you are nothing. You are worse than nothing. Even if they don't say it to you. It's not the same as a lot of other scenarios. So what ends up happening is that you become devalued. It's the best way to describe it. And it's incredibly painful. It doesn't matter. Again, if you talk to somebody who's been with a grandiose narcissist and you talk to somebody who's been with a borderline and you just take out the diagnosis of their partner and you just talk about how they're feeling, you won't be able to tell the difference. The level of pain, the level of devaluation, the level of trauma is the same. And same thing with whether the borderline is a screamer, slash your tires, or if she's, quote, quiet and internally rages. It won't matter. The same amount of devaluation is experienced by the partner. I know, because I was with a quiet borderline. Let's see what else. Okay, that's not a question. Chicken in my car. Question, do you have any opinions on how BPD might play out differently the same in males? I only learned post-breakup that my ex-male was diagnosed at one point via his therapist. I got to be honest, I don't understand the question. If we're talking about borderline personality disorder, it's going to play out the same. I don't know why you need to distinguish it. But I understand your need to want to understand the details. But I already know you haven't done the thing that I suggest. I already know you haven't read my book and followed the suggestions. I already know that because of your question. I used to say this when I'd come onto the channel. I'd say, listen, I'm going to already know if you've done the one thing. I'll know within the first few words. And I do. And it's not because I'm psychic. It's because the questions tell me where your mindset is at. So, you think that you're getting valuable information, chicken in my car. You think you're getting valuable information. And you think this valuable information is going to help you in some way. If you still have hope about the relationship, you think this information will give you the ability to be a better partner or to somehow control him, guide him towards better therapy. There's some part of you that thinks that the information will help control the situation. Or if you're no longer with him, then you think this information will somehow give you some safety, but it won't. But to answer your question, whatever specifics that are different about males than females in borderline personality disorder is either so insignificant it's not worth mentioning, or if it is significant, it doesn't have any real significance to not only the cause of their mental disorder, but your dysfunction that you need to heal just by being with them. So the idea is stop focusing on them and focus on you, because focusing on them will get you nowhere. So forgive me if that isn't what you wanted to hear. You know, I tend to tell people the truth whether they like it. I'm not interested. I don't need you to like me. I'm happy to tell you the truth, even if it's unpleasant. But my answer to you is that your question is meaningless to your recovery, and it's meaningless to whatever BPD is. In other words, focus on you, not on him. Max's comment question, what's wrong with advice, unsolicited or otherwise? Thank you. You asked me a question. There's a huge difference between unsolicited advice and solicited advice. You just gave me solicited advice. You asked for my opinion. So it is now healthy for me. It is a loving, kind thing for me to respond to you and try and help you because you've asked for my help. But every single time that you go to somebody and you tell them what they need, you are abusing them. That means your religion. If you feel the need to tell somebody your religion because you think if they have your religion that they're going to have the wonderful things that you have, you are abusing them. This is just textbook basic codependence. What's wrong with unsolicited advice? It's extremely codependent. It's controlling. It's devaluing. You are devaluing the other person. It's manipulative. You're not allowing people to simply be who they are. You're trying to control them, and you're doing it because you're uncomfortable. And so you're not trying to help them. Now, you think you are. Like the borderline doesn't know they're setting you up to destroy you. You think you are filled with feelings of compassion, and you want to go help somebody. But on an unconscious level, there's something about them that either frightens you or threatens you or reminds you of feelings that you have, probably feelings of being out of control. And so the panic that you have on an unconscious level drives you to push that down and present yourself as the person who has the answer. I'm the answer person. You know what your problem is. So what's wrong with it? It's unhealthy for you. It's unhealthy for the person that you are helping who has not asked for your help. Now, if somebody comes to you and asks for your help, that's different. If you want to go to somebody and say, you know, I care about you and I have some observations that I think might be helpful for you, then you say, would you like to hear it? And if they say yes, then you kind of have permission to do it. It still may be unsolicited and abusive, but at least you've gotten their approval. But if you say, I have some things I'd like to share with you I think would be helpful, would you like to hear it? And they say no, then you have to respect that. But unsolicited advice just goes right past that and says, you know what your problem is? Or you know what you need? Or, you know, God loves you and here's this book, read this and you'll be saved, you worthless piece of crap. You know what I mean? You know, if somebody comes to you and says, what is your spiritual practice? Can you explain to me? You look really peaceful and happy and I'd like to have that. How did you find that? Then you can tell your heart's content. That's not abusive. Thank you for the question. G. Frederick, write the word question in all caps for me, please. Chicken in my car did it. You can see up there. That helps me to see it as we're starting to get more stuff. Again, this is for you. It helps me to see your question, and I want to make sure I answer people's questions. You said, can having been with a person with BPD mimic these same symptoms in their partner? In other words, do you catch BPD by being with one? Yes. As in full-blown BPD in someone who's otherwise never displayed symptoms before. Let me see if I understand your question again. Can having been with a person with BPD mimic these same symptoms in their partner? I don't know what you're asking me. Are you saying that you were with a BPD and now you're with someone else and now you've given them BPD? That can't happen. Can you get it because you were with them? Yes. In fact, this is exactly what the unconscious motive of the covert psychopath inside the borderline wants. What the borderline and the narcissist want to do, both, they want to do the same thing. They honestly believe that if they can unload their dysregulated emotions onto you, that then you will have it and then they won't. What they want, what their main goal, this is the long-term goal of borderline personality disorder. It's not the conscious intent of the borderline. It is the long-term goal of their mental illness. The long-term goal of their mental illness is to devalue you until you feel exactly the way they feel in their deepest unconscious. And when you get to that place, which I believe that I did with mine, when you get to that place, it is hell. It is horrible. When you get to that place, you will no longer have any value to them because they will see themselves in you and they can't tolerate that. They will have such disdain for your pain. You might think, maybe if I become a victim, maybe they'll feel sorry for me. That's usually not the case because you've been trained to do something else. But when you get to the level where you feel as badly about yourself as they do, they will see themselves in you and they will want to discard you forever. And that is the ultimate goal of BPD. It doesn't matter if you're with them for a week or with them for 10 or 20 years. I've known people who have been with their borderlines for decades. And you would think you've been married to somebody for 10 years, you've had kids with them. They're not going to just completely, totally discard you, take all your money, slash your tires, and threaten to kill you. They're not going to do that. They might leave you. Things might go bad, but no, that's how bad it gets. And it lets you realize that this whole time you're with them, you think you've created a mutual empathic bond, and you haven't. It's just that you have had some value to their narcissism. There was still some identity left in you. There was still something that they could connect with and feed off of. And when there's nothing left in you for them to feed off of, this is assuming they don't have any therapy or any recovery or anything like that. When there's nothing left in you to feed off of, they will ultimately, completely, and terminally discard you. And it will be horrible. I don't know which is worse, the final discard or the people who are just in it and they go numb and they can't get out. I hear this all the time with people who have kids with borderlines. Yeah, but we have kids together. I don't know. I don't feel any anger. I'm just kind of numb. I don't know which is worse. It's horrible. All right, what else? 64 Firebird, same as before. If you have a question, write the word question in all caps. Please show me that you respect my process and so that I can answer your question for you. You say, how would you explain their incredible ability to feel what you were looking for in a partner and then create that facade of a person you were looking for all your life? How would I explain it? This will not only explain to you what borderlines are it will explain to you what super empaths are, and it will explain to you what codependents are, which, by the way, is all of you who are listening to me. If you've been in a romantic relationship with a borderline, even if it's been for a couple of weeks, you are by definition a codependent. Sorry, but that's just the fact. Codependent doesn't mean you're dependent on somebody else. A codependent is somebody who seeks their value somewhere outside of themselves. They don't realize that they have value simply because they exist. They need to get their value either by being with somebody, either by being approved of, or by the narcissistic supply they get by being seen. A porn star is a codependent. A bodybuilder is a codependent. These are people who get their value from something outside of themselves, and that includes all of you if you're listening to me and you've been with a borderline. So how would I explain their incredible ability to feel what you're looking for in a partner? It's real simple. When they were infants, probably you as a kid also, when they were infants, they got the message very quickly that their value was based on how they performed and what they did. If they were neglected, then the overwhelming, consuming need to be loved would turn into an overwhelming curiosity to learn what it is that your mom and your dad want. If you live in a home where you're abused, like physically abused or mentally or verbally abused, then your survival depends on knowing what people are thinking and feeling ahead of time so that you don't get the crap beat out of you or whatever else. So that's how. They're brilliant at it. And, listen, people think that being psychic is a spiritual gift. It's not. It's a sign of tremendous trauma most of the time. Whether you believe in psychic abilities or not is irrelevant. We know that narcissists are brilliant. Their empathy, meaning their ability to feel other people's feelings, whether they share those feelings or not. The borderline's ability to know your feelings before you do is a survival instinct. But that's the tragedy of it. When somebody loves us, or at least gives us the feeling of being loved and gives the impression that they know us, because they do. They can sense our feelings. They can look at us and see things about us that many people can't, because their old infantile survival instincts are kicking in. And they've learned to use that. So they did that in order to survive as little kids. But as adults, they do it to get narcissistic supply. They do it to feed. They have to be able to know, they can tell if somebody has that switch in them or not. They won't be attracted to somebody that has an individuated self. Somebody who feels comfortable within themselves. They're not going to be attracted to that person. Not only are they not going to be attracted to them, they're probably going to dislike them. They're probably going to be very judgmental towards them, because they will feel, there will be like a smoke screen they won't be able to get through. If they can't feel your feelings, they're going to feel threatened by you. I watch my borderline go through that all the time. Anyway, I hope that answered your question. All right, so I don't see any other questions here. I've been babbling for a little bit. And so I tell you on the channel exactly what to do. If you want to do it, feel free to go ahead and do the one thing. If you don't know what it is, put some time and effort to look at it. I tell you very clearly in the book how I survived my borderline girlfriend. And if you want to heal, you can completely heal 100% from the pain. You'll still be a human. But here's what healing looks like. And I'm saying this because, again, people are going to resist doing the very simple technique to heal because, as I said, your nervous system has been hijacked to tell you that survival means being in pain and being a victim. You're in the midst of an intermittent reinforcement trauma bond, even though you haven't been with your borderline for a decade. You're in pause. You're waiting for the reward. That's why you keep thinking about them. That's why you can't get in another relationship, or why you can't trust anybody else, or why even though you're with somebody else, you still think about them. It's because you're in pause mode and you're waiting for the reinforcement. It means you haven't gotten out of it. And your nervous system believes that your survival depends on it. So when I come along as you're in pause mode, waiting to be reinforced, and your nervous system is in a state of trauma, waiting to get reinforced. And I say, you don't have to do that anymore. You're going to get angry with me, or you're going to get defensive, or you're going to get defiant, or you're going to gaslight yourself out of it. And you're going to go, I don't need to do that. Or how dare you tell me that? I'm not a codependent. That's where all that defiance and anger comes from. You think you're defending you think that I'm trying to kill you. You think I'm trying to take you away from your hope of being restored and being alive again. I don't know where that came from, but that's why you guys resist doing the one thing. That's why. And I have to tell you, as somebody, what I was going to say is, here's what the cure looks like. What the cure looks like is that you have no more anger. And I'm not talking about denial. Lots of you say you're not angry and you're full of crap. Some of you are being a codependent means that you don't look good if you say that you're angry, and you were trained not to be angry. So you talk yourself out of being angry when you really are. That's why you're passive aggressive. That's why Max's comment, that's why you want to share your religion with people. It's because actually you're angry. I know you don't realize that. Passive aggressiveness is anger turned inward. But you're not allowed to feel anger because that's not spiritual, or that's not good, or that's not acceptable. So you tell yourself you're not angry, but you are. When you have the cure, you have no anger towards them anymore, no matter how badly they abused you. You have no anger towards them. You also have no pain. Like, when you think about it, there isn't any pain associated with it. You have no regret. You also have no mourning. Like, I wish that it had worked out. When it was so good. You have no blinders on about what really went on when she was love bombing you. You actually look back and you realize how kind of tragic and pathetic the whole thing was, that there was this dual what do you call that? Projection going on. You realize that what you thought was you being in love with her was actually just your infantile transference and projection onto her. So when you're completely cured, you not only have no pain, you have no regret, you don't think about them. And if you do think about them, you have a detached compassion. Like, you don't feel sorry for them. You hope that they find what they're looking for, but you're not enmeshed anymore. And I'm here to tell you that the majority of you listening to me, even if you say you're feeling better, the majority of you are not fully cured. And you can believe me or not believe me, but you can prove me wrong by completely following my suggestions and then come back and tell me that they didn't do anything for you. Nobody's done that yet. Another question came up here. G. Frederick, Sky Bentley, no contact won't cure you. It's necessary. You have to go no contact. It won't cure you. And it won't prevent you from being hoovered, and it won't prevent you from being targeted by another narcissist. It's like somebody saying, in order to survive, you have to take vitamins, but you also have to drink water and eat food. No, I don't drink water and I don't eat food, but I take vitamins. Well, they're a necessary thing. Or just drinking water. All I do is drink water, but I don't eat it. Well, you're going to starve to death. Well, I don't drink water, but I eat food. Well, you're going to die of thirst. No contact by itself isn't going to fix the problem. G. Frederick, question, how long after your BPD relationship did you get back to healthy dating relationships? How long after? I'm interested to know why you're asking that question. My first question to you is, have you done what I suggested? And are you currently in a relationship? I'm not as interested in how long. What that tells me is that you can't wait to get back into a relationship. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overthinking it here. But to answer your question, the truth is that I got involved with a borderline because my fiance had passed away, and she was the love of my life. So I was actually kind of in a state where I hadn't fully dealt with that. I got involved with my borderline. So what ended up happening is that after I got cured of the borderline, I had done the work, which it only took me a couple of months to get cured of that. Then I was able to get back into healing myself from the fact that, just a year earlier, my fiance had passed away. So, I mean, asking me that question, I understand it, but I don't think it has any real relevance. There's nothing wrong with being single, and there's nothing wrong with being in a relationship. But the point is that if you're cured, you can get into a healthy relationship right afterwards. For some people, it might be just a couple of months. I don't know. For you, I don't know, G. Frederick. I don't know. It might be a couple of months. I don't know you well enough to know how long it would take you to get back into a healthy relationship. But I can sense in your question what you want is you want to be loved. And where you want to be is you want to be in a place where you're okay whether you are in a relationship or you're not in a relationship. If you're not okay not being in a relationship, it means that there's still some work left to be done. Having said that, I got nothing against dating and relationships and all that. I'm just giving you my response to your question. Okay, so Zahir is following my suggestions. Good for you. All right, no more questions, so I guess we're done. All right, that's it, guys. I don't know when I'm going to do another live stream, but I recommend getting the book. I especially recommend getting the audiobook. And if you liked it, I hope that you'll leave a positive review. I'd like to see this book take off. And if you want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. You can go to audiobooks.thunderwizard.com. I got some other books in there too. For you ladies in there, I've got a book about how to keep your man. I've kind of thought about whether or not to talk about that on this channel or not. It's kind of connected, but it's not the same. But Anyway, that's it. I'm starting to babble, so I guess we're done. Thanks, guys, for showing up. I appreciate it, and I wish you all the best. And thanks to those of you who have supported me by purchasing the books. And, of course, you can go check out my other channel, Thunder Wizard, DOTCOM. We do all kinds of crazy stuff over there, which I won't conflate into this channel, but you're welcome to go there and check out that channel as well. That's it. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. I hope that whatever situation you're in, I honestly hope that you find the peace and the joy that comes with being individuated. And I wish you blessings on your journey to find that wherever you are on that path. I salute you simply for being alive and wanting to love yourself. That's it for me, guys. See you next time. Take care.